Hey guys, my name's Justin and welcome to Hellsborough, where we care about the design behind designer luxury. If you do too, make sure to subscribe. Something cool happened. Alright, so for today's video, I wanted to give a review of one of my vintage bags. It's not vintage, retro? Oh my god, is it retro? No. It's like 5 years old. The Balenciaga Arena Tote in Arena leather. So that's an interesting material combination with the name. But it is also known as the infamous IKEA Balenciaga bag, or whatever it is. So when I give bag reviews, if you are unfamiliar, I like to do them in 5 categories, and those categories are design, durability, comfort, investment value, and impact. And typically when I talk about these things, I like to think about how the bag is, maybe like different other types of external factors, but also like just rooted to like my personal experience with the bags. So that's kind of like where it comes from. It's not necessarily to say like this is the perfect bag, this is the worst bag, or anything like that, but to help you kind of understand if you are interested in this bag or just want to learn about any of these bags that I do reviews on. I'll link a playlist somewhere just to give you a better picture and help you make a decision, or just, you know, see some stuff. Alright, so starting out with the first category, we have design. I think we can safely say that they, in a way, didn't really design this bag. When you think of like the general form, it's taken from like the IKEA like plastic shopping tote that's like $1 or whatever. The form is, it's very recognizable as that. The only branding on it is just this little hot stamped Balenciaga Paris. But then when it comes to the actual design of it, there's a lot to be very happy about. First off, I love the straps. They're very thick, they feel substantial. And I know that's something that like the IKEA tote bags, like, I don't know why I'm comparing it to this bag. It's like completely different. It's like such a different price point. But like those straps, like they kind of like scrunch up. Secondly, the material choice is genius. It looks like when you've used one of those IKEA bags for like a million years. It's all crinkly, and that's literally like the way that they chose this like coated leather with this like crinkly effect. I think is so genius. It's so smart. And they actually use it on like other bags now. I don't know if this was the first one. I don't think so. I think they did it for like the ones that they ripped off from like Southeast Asian countries, those rectangular ones. Anyways, next I want to talk about the zipper. This zipper is great. I wish IKEA would make a shopping tote like this, like their normal ones, but then add a zipper. I think that would make it such a great bag for traveling. Like, just having a zipper is amazing. And then of course I wanted to mention like there is an additional like flat pocket in there with a zipper, and then there's also a key ring in there. So this does honestly make for a really good travel bag. And even though that flat pocket was more of that like crinkly coated leather, the inside lining is like a cotton, just a black cotton. So that was just a quick tour of how this bag is. But then I also wanted to talk about kind of like the quality. And I'm not saying like the plastic IKEA bags aren't durable, because we all have like 50 of them, because we always forget to take a bag, and they all like are perfect for like moving and whatever, and like they never rip somehow. I don't know how they do it. What they did here, I guess because they're like, oh, it's leather, so maybe it's not as like magical or whatever. They added this kind of like, I don't know what this kind of seam is called, but it feels like so strong. It's interesting that like the seam is carried along this bag where they didn't necessarily need to, but because of the nature of the IKEA bag, they did it. But it feels so strong. Nothing about this bag to me feels like it's going to break. On top of the fact that it looks like an IKEA bag, it feels in concept like an IKEA bag as well. So like, I wouldn't necessarily put some pots and pans in this to like move it around to my new apartment, but I do take this like on trips, and I do put it in like the overhead in airplanes, and I feel very secure about it. The way that they interpreted this like $1.50 whatever plastic bag is genius. They didn't really come up with the design, but it is hilarious. It is very functional, and I think it's executed very well in terms of how a bag can be executed when like, I guess it is kind of a parody or something like that, but let's give it a 9. Alright, so for the next category, durability. Whenever I talk about bags, I like to think of them in terms of like normal wear and tear. This, however, is not a bag that I would carry every day because it's so big. That being said, when I do carry it, I am rough with it. I pack it full, I put it on airplanes for however many hours, on trains, just tossing it wherever. Suffice to say, I'm not very gentle with this bag. And this bag holds up actually quite well. Part of it is due to the fact that like the canvas is already kind of wrinkly and a little cracked. It's difficult to see the flaws in it, but I did want to point out a few things. When looking at the edges around the folded Arena leather, there's little scratches, or maybe it's even like just cracks in the leather. I wouldn't consider myself an expert on how to like maintain coated leather, especially because like every coated leather is a little bit different, but you can see like there's a little bit of like cracking that's happening along the edges. You can't really tell because there's so many cracks anyways, but like you can kind of like feel them, and it's like, okay. Along the straps, the finishing is really great. There is a little bit of like, it looks like peeling. It's probably because I pack this bag so much and so heavy, but in the end, like it still is like some wear and tear that's happening, despite me only using this bag maybe like less than a dozen times. Even though every time I'm using it for like multiple days each time. So there's that to consider as well. Everything else about this bag, the durability, when it comes to the sturdiness of it, and like whether or not there's any sort of like actual structural change, I would say it's non-existent or minimal, if there even is any. The zipper quality is really good. Each of the connecting seams and just any place where you would expect that there could be damage or wear, it's either minimal or non-existent. So for durability, I think I would give it an 8. So let's talk about comfort. Like I said, I use this a lot for traveling because I like that it has the hand straps. Also, it has like a shoulder strap, and the straps are super thick, so it makes it a lot more comfortable than some other bags that I have to carry. That being said, it's also not the most comfortable, and I think it's because it's such a sturdy bag. I'm like, yeah, I can pack this full, and then I'm just lugging around this super heavy bag. And like what I'll do is if I have rolling luggage, I'll like let it sit on the luggage and like loop the handles around the pulling handle for the rolling luggage, which is fine and it helps make it more comfortable. But in any case, it doesn't like sit perfectly. There's a lot of fussing that has to do with this bag. That being said, I would much rather carry one of these bags around like an old cobblestone street in some like Italian city than take rolling luggage and either have to hand carry that because I feel like ridiculous with that, or like have it be like bumpy along the cobblestones, potentially break it. But in terms of using this bag for travel, because it has a zipper and the zipper is actually recessed inside the bag, it does feel pretty safe to carry, and I never really stress too much, especially because when I pack it, I kind of like put a layer on top of everything else to kind of like block anything from falling out, because while there is a zipper, it is open towards the ends, on both ends of the zipper, which so far, knock on wood, I haven't lost anything while traveling with this, even though I'll like lay it down in the airplane stowage, like that thing. I think that's why I keep turning to this, because it feels so comfortable to carry like mentally, and it's like decently comfortable to carry physically. This one's kind of a tough one, but I think for comfort, this one I'm gonna give it a 7. All right, so the next category for this is investment value. I just want to put it out there first and foremost. I bought this secondhand and I got it for, I'm pretty sure 50% off MSRP, which is amazing for me. Does not speak well for the investment value. Even though I got this bag in like one of the best states of being, what is this, like a philosophy class? I don't know. I got it basically brand new with tags. It still was like marked deeply discounted. And one thing I did want to mention is that like it had a lot of virality. A lot of people know this bag. People will recognize it, and yet still the investment value is not there. I think it's because like there's a difference between like something being iconic and something being viral, and this sits along more on the spectrum towards viral, which is fine. For me, it rests as iconic, and that's why I bought this bag. That's why I love this bag. But in terms of the general public loving it, not so sure about that. So then, I guess, since I got it half off, I'll give it a half off score. It's getting a 5. Alright, and the last category is impact. I'm going to talk about the visual impact. I'm going to talk about the cultural impact. I mentioned like it had virality. It's not really iconic, so the longevity, but it still is recent enough that it's very recognizable. Like IKEA made ads or something about the bag and they're like, how to tell if you have a real IKEA bag. I think that's hilarious. All those kinds of things amounted to like a really great conversation between the luxury brand and this like Swedish Swedish furniture brand. When I think of IKEA, I think of like super like safe, a little quirky, and then Balenciaga is like very daring, very like cutting edge, almost like inappropriate, and now we're seeing can be like very inappropriate. So for this bag, the cultural impact for me, very great. And then in terms of visual impact, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. I think because it's a copycat of the IKEA bag so well, when I carry it around, people don't really notice that it's like fancy. I remember I was like, it was like a travel day, but then I was at the airport like shopping around. I went to a store, it was like Gucci or something, I don't remember. I just remember like walking in and being like, oh, I'm just looking around, da da da. And they're like, oh, I like your bag. I think I was carrying like a puzzle or something like that. I was like, yeah, like it's from the, I think it was like the collab one or whatever, blah, blah. I was like, what do you think of this bag? And they're like, oh, I thought it was just an IKEA bag. I didn't realize it was the Balenciaga like IKEA bag. And I was like, yep. Kind of nice that like people don't notice it because I don't want people touching my stuff. Unless like I invite them to. But then like this is recognizable for people. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it like on Hypebeast, I feel like they even talked about it on like the Today Show or something, you know? Like it was like, I think people's moms know about it, which is, you know, a pretty big deal. So for that, I am going to definitely give this one a 10. Alright, so when we put the scores together, we get a 39, which is like a high C, close to a B. I'm not gonna round it up because I don't think it deserves it. I mean, I love this bag, but sometimes it's good to tell the truth on the internet, and that's what we're doing here today on Beyonce's internet. So I think it's a score that's pretty well deserved. It's a good bag, it's a decent bag. It's not great, it's not the best, but it's not bad. And it's actually quite hilarious, and that's what keeps me going when it comes to bags like this. But yeah, let me know, do you guys... Okay, first off, you do remember this bag? You do know this bag, right? Let me know in the comments if I'm like crazy and like it wasn't actually as viral as I think it was. In any case, just let me know what you guys think, or if you even have this bag and we can be bag twins, let me know. I would love that. But that is all I have for you today. So if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It lets me know that you like this kind of content and that you too care about the design behind designer luxury. Until next time, it's zipper it. I was good. Okay, hold on. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.